My name is Cheryl Gordon, and I'm a member of the National Council of Jewish Women, Cleveland branch. Today, I'm going to talk to you about Israel, a small country on the other side of the world that I and many other people are very impressed with, and know that you will be too. First, you're going to hear a song that talks about hope. The Hebrew word for hope is tikva.
Across the ocean, under the blue sky, the sun is rising, it's climbing so high. I know a place where we can be freer, we will be stronger, so long we be keeping our hope. Talking about tikva, talking about my hope, talking about tikva.
This is my homeland, this is my story. I build my future with ancient glory. So take my hand now, we'll be together. The days are brighter, and we'll be dreaming now.
Falafel just got real.
Talking about tikva, talking about my home, talking about tikva.
אנו מכריזים בזאת על הקמת מדינה יהודית בארץ ישראל. היא מדינת ישראל.
Talking about tikva, talking about my home, talking about tikva. And we be singing now.
T-I-K-V-A. Okay, now you gotta say tikva, tikva. Come on, come on. What you talking about? Not giving up, we rising up. Show me mine. It's that sound, can't cut me down. Not giving up, hope I still got T-I-K-V-A. Okay, now you gotta say tikva, tikva. Come on, come on. What you talking about? Not giving up, we rising up. Show me mine. Can't cut me down. Not giving up, hope.
Over 3,000 years ago, a group of people developed a thriving civilization and established a homeland. Over time, they were conquered by a series of foreign empires, and while some of the people stayed there, thousands fled to many corners of the world. For almost 2,000 years, they never lost hope that they would return someday. Eventually, about 75 years ago, they were able to go back home to join those who were already there and build one of the most diverse and creative nations in the world. That nation is Israel. And you are hearing the story of how its spirit of innovation helps people overcome challenges all over the world. The modern state of Israel was formally established in 1948 as the homeland of the Jewish people. It is the only country in the world where the majority of people belong to the Jewish religion. In the United States, Jews make up less than 2% of the population. But in Israel, the Jewish population is 75%, or 3 out of every 4 people. 1 person of every 5 is Muslim, and there are also people representing many other religions, including, but not limited to, Christianity, Druze, and Baha'i. Israelis come from many different countries, including Russia, Poland, Germany, Yemen, Ethiopia, and Iraq, and even from the United States. Many different races, languages, and cultures and religions are represented, and all of these in a country less than 1/3 the size of Ohio. Let's meet some Israelis. Noam is a typical teenager in Israel. He lives in a city called Beersheba and attends school 6 days a week from Sunday through Friday, which is usual for all Israeli students. He gets Saturday, the Jewish Sabbath, as a day off. While in school, Noam speaks Hebrew, but he started learning English in the 3rd grade. In high school, he's also learning Arabic and French. When he isn't in school, Noam plays soccer with his friends. He likes listening to music, which includes his favorite singers, both Israeli and American. His favorite song is the Sticker Song from the Israeli group Hadag Nachash, whose lyrics are often found on bumper stickers. Let's listen to part of one of their songs that says, "A strong nation makes peace."
שלם דורש שלום, תנו לצה"ל לנצח, עם חזק עושה שלום, תנו לצה"ל לכסח, אין שלום עם ערבים, אל תיתנו להם רובים, קרבי זה אחי, אחי, גיוס לכולם, טוב לכולם, שום.
Noam's favorite things to eat are pizza and ice cream. He also loves eating falafel, which are deep fried balls made from ground chickpeas and are Israel's most famous street food. He can find most any kind of food he wants in Israel, even sushi or Italian. And occasionally he likes to eat at McDonald's. Over half of Israel is desert. So to resolve water shortages, Israelis have developed sophisticated technologies to conserve. Noam does his part by turning off the water while he's brushing his teeth or shampooing his hair. Most Israeli homes and businesses use water-saving toilets. Perhaps you've seen them. Each toilet has 2 flushers, and you can probably understand why. Many other great things have been invented in Israel and shared with the rest of the world. These include their advanced technologies for solar energy, agriculture, turning salt water into fresh water, and improving the environment. They've invented an amazing machine that can make drinking water from desert air, and also a way to make most any water safe to drink. They've even sent a research missile to the moon. Now you all know about text messages. Guess what? Israel invented them, and other popular apps like Waze and WhatsApp. She's also made discoveries in healthcare and manufactures many of our most popular medicines. Recently, Israelis created a glue that repairs large surgical wounds and a tool that destroys cancer cells by freezing them. Now, please watch this. An Israeli scientist invented a robotic skeleton to help people who are paralyzed to stand and even walk. Wow. Now let's meet Gali. Gali lives in Tel Aviv, right on the Mediterranean Sea. Her favorite subject in school is history, and she enjoys spending time on the beach with her friends. She dreams of becoming prime minister like Golda Meir, who was Israel's first female head of state. Like the United States, Israel is a democracy. This means that every Israeli citizen, Jewish or not, has freedom of religion, speech, and the right to vote. This is really important because there are more than 20 countries nearby and only 2 are democracies. Those 2 democracies are Israel and Tunisia. Israel has been a free democracy since it became a country in 1948. But before Gali can realize her dreams, like many young Israelis, she will serve in the army. At age 18, Israeli men and women are required to serve their country either in the military or by doing public service before entering university. The safety and security of Israel are top priorities for all Israeli citizens. But Israel is also committed to the safety and security of others. In recent years, countries around the world have been hit by natural disasters such as hurricanes, earthquakes, floods, and tsunamis. When tragedies like this strike, Israel is often the first on the ground with supplies and medical assistance. This has happened over and over again, most recently in faraway places like Brazil, the Philippines, Indonesia, and Mozambique. And Israel, being a strong friend of the United States, has come to our aid as well. Lately, because of hurricanes and wildfires in places like North Carolina, California, Florida, Texas, and Puerto Rico. Here is a humanitarian aid team made up of some of Israel's top medical and disaster relief experts. In this video, you will hear the aid workers speaking many different languages.
My name is Dr. Ian Miskin. I'm an infectious disease specialist.
اسمي طلال فارس وأنا ممرض.
Je m'appelle Golan, je suis l'opération officier.
Mi chiamo Katia Bullock, chiamo Sistra.
Mi chiamo Teo, yo soy comandante de compañía.
اسمم פריזדה שירין, קראנו כולם תוארתש כפרסדרי, תוארתך עמל.
דודי סגל, רופא כללי במשלחת.
Why did I want to come on this mission? Well, this sort of mission allows you to be a real doctor. This is what medicine is all about.
In 2009, Israel wanted to honor the victims of the 9/11 terror attacks, so she built the only memorial outside of the United States that includes all the names of those who perished. Why do you think Israelis are helping people all over the world? As we mentioned earlier, many people who live in Israel are from different countries, cultures, and religions. Let's glance at some of them and see the many different ways Israelis look. Let's meet Natalie, Avi, and Ahmed. Natalie is a 15-year-old who lives in Netanya, a beach community near Tel Aviv. Her grandparents came to Israel from Russia when they couldn't freely practice their religion. Since the 1980s, over 1 million Russian Jews have immigrated to Israel so that they could live without fear of discrimination and persecution. Anti-Semitism is the term for discrimination or hostility to Jews. Avi is from the city of Ashkelon. Before he was born, his parents came to Israel from the African country of Ethiopia on a special mission called Operation Solomon. Jews lived in Ethiopia for centuries before facing many hardships, such as starvation and political violence. In order to leave Ethiopia, Avi's parents had to walk through the desert for days. Finally, they met up with hidden planes that flew them to Israel. During this challenging mission in 1991, over 14,000 Ethiopian Jews were airlifted to Israel in just 1.5 days. They flew in planes where the seats had been removed so that more people could fit inside. Although Avi was born in Israel, he still connects with his Ethiopian heritage. His parents still speak the Ethiopian language of Amharic at home, and his mom often cooks Ethiopian foods. The Israeli government has even helped Ethiopians feel more at home by making the Ethiopian celebration of Sigd a national holiday. Watch as Ethiopian Jews celebrate their holiday in Israel.
This is the Beta Israel community, descended from one of the lost tribes of Israel. For thousands of years, They held on to their Jewish tradition in Ethiopia, celebrating the Sigd, a holiday symbolizing the acceptance of the Jewish covenant on Mount Sinai.
כל פעם אמרנו בשנה הבאה לירושלים, עלינו להר, קוראים לו אמבובר באתיופיה. כל פעם התפללנו שמה, השתחררנו להשם, לעלות לירושלים. כל שנה.
In the 80s and 90s, their prayers were answered. A series of top-secret operations, coordinated by Israel and the CIA, airlifted thousands of Ethiopian Jews into Israel. Even though most of the Ethiopian Jews have returned to what they see as their biblical home, they continue to celebrate the Sigd holiday. This year, all of Israel celebrated with them.
Israelis celebrate other holidays as well, which include Rosh Hashanah in the fall, which is the Jewish New Year, and the spring holiday of Passover, which commemorates the freeing of Israelites from slavery in ancient Egypt. Then there is Memorial Day, which is called Yom HaZikaron and is very sad. On that day, a siren blows for 2 minutes throughout the country, and no matter where you are, in school, at the mall, or on the street, you stop and remember who died for their nation. Here is a video of cars stopping on a busy street. Listen carefully. I'm sure you heard the siren. Now, 17-year-old Ahmed lives in Haifa. He and his family are members of the Arab community and are citizens of Israel. They have lived there since before it became an official country in 1948. Though there are a fair number of Arabs who are Christian, Ahmed's family is Muslim. He attends a school for Arab students where everything is taught in Arabic. He plans to go to college after he graduates high school. About 1 of every 5 Israelis is Arab. Hebrew is the official language of Israel, but Arabic also has a special status. Despite challenges between Israeli Jews and Israeli Arabs, they often shop in the same stores, work together, and attend the same universities. Arab Israelis even serve in the Knesset, Israel's equivalent to the United States Congress. Unfortunately, a conflict does exist between these two communities and throughout the region, despite Israel's official status as a nation and longtime efforts at compromise and peace. It takes a lot of work to help different people understand and respect each other, but Israel believes it's worth the effort. Many organizations exist to ease the tension between the two groups. Watch this group of Arab and Jewish teens learn about each other through song and conversation.
واهلا بالحبايب شرفوا. Hold on to me as we go, as we roll down this unfamiliar road. And although this wave is bringing us along, just know you're not alone, 'cause
'Cause I'm gonna make this place your home. Settle down, it'll all be clear. Don't pay no mind to the demons, they fill you with fear. Trouble, it might drag you down. If you're lost, you can always be found. If you get lost, you should just know you're not alone. 'Cause I'm gonna make this place your home. Settle down, it'll all be clear. Ooh, don't pay no mind to the demons, they fill you with fear. Trouble, it might drag you down. If you're lost, you can always be found. If you're lost, you just know you're not alone. 'Cause I'm gonna make this place your home.
Do you know someone who has a different religion or background than you? Have you celebrated a holiday or cultural event with him or her? What was that holiday or event? How did it make you feel? Here are some fun facts about Israel.
When you hear the word Israel, what goes through your mind? Probably this image, or this, definitely this. So here are 68 facts you probably didn't know about Israel. Israel is a young country. How young? Just 68 years old. In nation years, that's like 3 years old, a mere baby. Israel's population is just 1.6% of the entire population in the Middle East, and takes up only 1/10 of 1% of the region's area, which means it's tiny. Basically, you can cross the entire country in less than 5 hours from snow-covered Mount Hermon to the sizzling beaches of Eilat. Israel is third in the world in the consumption of sweets and vegetables. Israel was the first country in the world to ban commercials starring underweight models. Israel has the highest number of academics per capita in the world, and the highest proportion of startups, and of museums as well. Tel Aviv is home to 80,000 dogs that enjoy more than 60 dog parks, and the biggest dog cemetery dating back to ancient times was discovered in Israel in Ashkelon. Speaking of ancient places, Jerusalem, one of the oldest cities in the world, is also the smartest one, as it was the first in the world to be completely covered by Wi-Fi. According to the New Testament, Jesus walked on the water here. This rescue board is called a hasake. It was invented here in the 1930s by a Jewish lifeguard. If you have a problem staying above water, the Dead Sea is the place for you. The salt concentration there is so high, anyone can stay afloat. Israel is one of only 8 countries that have sent a satellite into space. The busiest bird migration route in the world goes through Israel. 1 billion birds pass through here every year. So what was invented here? The technology that allows us to chat in WhatsApp, Messenger, and everything else you youngsters spend your time on. The world's first antivirus software, gesture control and hands-free computers. Technology to prevent traffic accidents. Taxi service app. Remember when you had to wave your hand for a taxi? A social network that allows you to steer clear of traffic jams. A really small pill that can photograph your body from the inside. How does it get out? Solar energy water heater. Irrigation system that conserves water. Painless hair removal. Well, almost painless. Anti-jellyfish sting gel, laser keyboard, the technology that enabled unmanned flight, cherry tomatoes, and Rummy Cup, the popular board game. Lady Gaga's shoe designer is Israeli. They are indeed beautiful, but really difficult to walk in, especially if you're in Haifa and need to climb its green hills. For that, the shortest train line in the world was constructed to take you right to the top of Mount Carmel. And while we're in Haifa, did you know that it is the most multi-ethnic city in Israel? It has Jews, Christians, Muslims, both Sunnis and Shias, Druze and Baha'is. Did you know that Israel is the only place in the world where the number of trees increases year by year? Even with all these forests, 60% of Israel is desert, which didn't prevent us from turning the barren desert into productive farmland. A desert doesn't have much water, so Israel was forced to lead the world in desalination technologies. Israeli scientists developed treatments for multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and most important, discovered the cause of halitosis. Yes, bad breath. Israelis are also not too shabby when it comes to sports. Maccabi Tel Aviv took the European Championship 6 times. In judo and windsurfing, Israel is an Olympic powerhouse. And if you're still not impressed, what would you say to the fact that the Emmy-winning series Homeland was written in Israel? Or that more than 1 million notes are stuffed into the Western Wall every year? Where does God find the time to read them all? And Hebrew is such an ancient language that if a modern-day Israeli would meet his ancestor from 2,000 years ago, they would be able to carry on a conversation. One more left? Well, all right. Have you heard of the Global Happiness Index? Neither had I until now. But apparently Israelis are in the 11th spot out of 196 countries. And if that doesn't satisfy you, maybe you should find someone to talk to about it.
Remember the song that we played at the beginning? The song was about tikva, which means hope in Hebrew. In fact, the national anthem of Israel is Hatikva, which means the hope. These are the words to the song. Take a second and think, what does hope mean to you? The people of Israel respond to those all over the world who are in crisis, create technologies that help make life easier, and give homes to those facing persecution. Why? Maybe they do that because of the desire to give others hope. Just as Israel was founded on Hatikva, the hope, the people of Israel are hoping for peace, hoping for the future, and hoping to make the world a better place. I'd like to end by sharing that important word with you in 3 languages. Feel free to repeat and then practice. In English, we say hope. In Hebrew, the word is tikva. In Arabic, the word is amal. Let's practice. Tikva. Tikva. Amal. Amal. I leave you with this question. What are your hopes? What do you plan to do to make your hope a reality? On behalf of the National Council of Jewish Women, Cleveland chapter, I thank you so very much for watching this program. Shalom.